Good morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. I hope everybody's having a fabulous weekend. Just a reminder, we have several big stories to cover in this video, and on Sunday, you will start to see my videos, my extra videos about what all went on while we were in the UK and Rome. So don't forget to check in on Sunday, okay? All right, let's go. We're going to start off with King Charles, who had two people meet him at Buckingham Palace. Osman Topkagic, the ambassador of Bosnia, and his wife, and Luis Valles Valdeviso, the ambassador of Ecuador. Next up, King Charles and Queen Camilla hosted a reception several days ago, and this was to recognize the UK's contribution to humanitarian efforts across the world, of course, and it also marked 60 years of the Disaster Emergency Committee. Very interesting, one of the groups that was there was called Shelter Box. As you can see, the Duke of Gloucester was also there, and the King and Queen spoke to people from fundraisers, frontline workers, charity CEOs, huge range of people. There were also refugees there, so lots of people. It looks like the whole thing was a great success. All right, let's move on now. Sticking again with King Charles, he went to the Central Synagogue in London. He met with the rabbi and he met former Kindertransport refugees. These are children that were saved from the Holocaust, given up by their parents, or their parents were murdered and they were sent to other countries to live. They were also commemorating the 85th anniversary of Kristallnacht, which is, the night of broken glass. And upon arriving, of course, he met with a lot of people, sat down, listened to their stories, and the chief rabbi said, and I'm quoting, that His Majesty the King is an example of loving kindness and the fact that he loves people of all faiths. And they also said that they called for hope, tolerance, and understanding at what is otherwise a very difficult time. While this is all going on, absolutely. I agree. And I do love the fact that King Charles does show love to all religions. Fabulous. All right, let's move on. Next up, it's that time of the year. Queen Camilla is attending the 95th year of the Field of Remembrance at Westminster Abbey. She put her own cross into the first board there it's called the Cross of Remembrance. And then she went through afterwards and met several members of the staff, the national president of the Royal British Legion, president of the Poppy Factory, and, other people that are veterans. This year, according to the article, there's going to be 308 plots, which Camilla went and reviewed while she was there. And this is a long-standing tradition, doing this outside Westminster Abbey. All right, moving on. Next up, let's move on to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She went to the Royal Society of Edinburgh, and she was there to award 2 medals to 2 people for their contributions to scientific research. I think that's pretty cool. Professor David Lee and Professor Andrew Morris. Very, very nice. Okay, moving on. Sticking again with Princess Anne, she was doing investitures again at Windsor Castle, and one of the people she did an investiture for was CEO and founder Rosalind Bluestone of Goods for Good. Very nice. Moving on. All right, this article is from December, but bear with me, and I'm going to show you guys how this all ties into the news of today. So we know that Christopher Boozy is being sued by Nate the lawyer. He called Nate the son of 2 crackheads. He said all kinds of horrible things about Nate. He accused Nate of planting evidence on people and putting, innocent people in jail. But he was in the Netflix docuseries. He said a lot of things in that docuseries. He said a lot of things about Samantha. There's some other online people that he said things about that are now suing as well. By the way, he's been trying to get out of this lawsuit for quite some time, and Christopher Bouzy just filed his amended complaint. He asked for it to be, dismissed again, and you can read it here, but here's where it gets interesting. Samantha Markle went to court. Meghan was not there, people have asked, and Meghan's attorneys had to fly in from California. They asked to Zoom in, and the judge said no. But here's what happened in the courtroom. Very interesting. First of all, interesting information came out, things that I didn't know, things a lot of people didn't know. For instance, are you guys aware that Samantha, when she moved out from her father's house, moved into the house next door, and she was responsible for driving Meghan to school every single day? And of course, Meghan says, I don't remember her. Obviously, that's not true. Now, Meghan's attorneys tried to pull a couple of fast ones. For instance, Christopher Bouzy's comments, this is how it all ties in. His comments came up. He said that Samantha was running a hate account. And Meghan's attorneys said, and we're not responsible for what Christopher Bouzy said in this Netflix docuseries. She didn't have anything to do with this. She's not even credited as the producer. And then Samantha's attorney stood up and said, excuse me, Archwell, producer, who owns Archwell? Meghan Markle. I'm telling you, the judge even called them to it. Doesn't Meghan Markle have Archwell? Well, yes, she does. So she did produce it. Well, yeah. So she had something to do with what Christopher Bouzy said in that docuseries. Well, turns out, yeah, that's true. Another instance was, you guys all remember, if you watched the Netflix docuseries, that Meghan sat there and said, my sister changed her name back to Markle only after I started dating Harry. Well, when Meghan's attorneys said the statement, they left out the word only. And the judge even said, the judge caught it and said, you left out the word only. And they had to apologize to the judge. You're absolutely right. We misspoke. We didn't say it correctly. So for people who think that this case is not going to go forward, there's a 50-50 chance that it just very well may go forward, because this is not a statement of fact. This is not her opinion. She said this. She said that. And Meghan's attorneys tried to twist the words, and the judge was on it and caught them and called them to the mat on it. There has not been a decision made. It's going to be about a month before we hear the decision, but the second we hear it, I will let you know. All right, moving on. All right, here's another one of our big stories for today. Harry and Meghan went to Camp Pendleton in San Diego. I don't know why they keep saying it was under the radar. There was nothing under the radar. It was set up. They brought their own photographer to make sure to capture it. Once again, wearing like a $5,000 outfit in front of a room of veterans. Most of these people are on a fixed income. This woman cannot read the room. Harry's wearing a poppy because, of course, he has to keep his, ties to the UK. But he looked very downtrodden. He did not look happy. And at some point, after they were inside, they went outside so that they could cut the ribbon, or somebody else could cut the ribbon. So what's the first thing that happens? Harry walks down, he's talking with somebody, and Meghan decides he's not moving fast enough. So she turns around, walks up to him, puts her hand on his back, literally tries to cut the conversation short, then turns around, walks back to where she's supposed to be. They finish their conversation, and then the man does his spiel. The whole thing was very cringe. Here it is in video for you. Here's Harry having an in-depth conversation. Meghan is trying to rush it along. She walks up, touches Harry. Come on, Harry, let's go, let's go. And then Harry takes his place behind Meghan. He literally was cowering behind her the whole time. He looked very anxious. He looked out of place. He looked very uncomfortable. Everybody was like, what the heck is going on here? I got the feeling, and this is just me, but I got the feeling that he didn't want to be there. That was my honest opinion. He was like, she wanted to be there, and he was just being dragged along. As far as looking uncomfortable, watch this. And one other thing I couldn't help but notice was Meghan started doing that weird slow blinking thing again. It's creepy. I still don't know why she does it. And maybe she's bored and that's her way of, I don't know, keeping awake. All right, a few observations from me. Number one, she really piled on the bronzer. My goodness. Number two, why is she in the front? Why is she not behind Harry? This is supposed to be, Harry's thing. Number three, I couldn't help but notice they did not allow Harry or Meghan to cut the ribbon. They did not allow Harry or Meghan to make a statement. They literally just were there to be, dressing. Now, Harry then released a letter about for Scotty's little soldiers. These are children who have lost a parent to war. I don't know how he would know that. He didn't lose a parent to war. Okay. Then next up, now these articles are now coming out, Meghan's smile radiated, lit up the whole occasion. Meghan, it's unusual, they said, to see Meghan walking ahead of Harry. And, oh my God, the article said that Meghan's signals with him were maternal and dominant. Gee, you think? We've already seen that. Their fashion photographer made sure to get a few pictures. There were only about 250 people. There are not that many. And of course, they got the obligatory picture of her hugging a woman of color. So here's something you may not know. This group is a 501c, so they rely on donations. So this was probably along the lines of WME said, we'll give you a donation if you let Harry and Meghan have a photo op with your group. Listen, I'm guessing at least we should be happy that they weren't trampling over American graves again. You know what I'm saying? Because, listen, the royal family's out and about. They need to get into the press somehow. And this is what WME set up for them. But I got to be honest, it's kind of pathetic. Now, there's another video circulating that was taken supposedly by some person. It was the fakest thing I've ever heard. He's like, oh, look, the prince. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It was so fake and contrived. All right, we were waiting for this to come down. It came down. Prince Harry and Elton John and other people have been given the go-ahead with their legal case against ANL. They're doing it for unlawful information gathering, gross breaches of privacy, illegal activity. They claim their homes were bugged and, they used deceptive tactics to get private medical information and they taped, phone calls, etc., etc. The thing is, they can claim it all they want, but they have to prove it. The other part of Harry's case was thrown out. So, okay, he's been given the go-ahead to continue. He still has to prove his case. Okay, moving on. All right, before we move on to another big story, I'm going to cover this really quick. We know that when Charles was the Prince of Wales, the longest serving Prince of Wales, more than 64 years before he became king, he had the Prince's Trust. Well, now he's King Charles, so now they're going to rename it to the King's Trust. And the Prince of Wales Charitable Fund will become King Charles III Charitable Fund, and the Prince's Foundation will now be known as the King's Foundation. Pretty cool. There's no need to leave it because now William has the Prince of Wales title and he's got his own, thing going on. And let's not forget that Camilla had the Duchess of Cornwall's reading room, and now that's been changed to the Queen's reading room. So this trust was founded in 1976 and it's been going ever since. And I think it's a natural progression. I can totally see it. So, yeah. So I guess the point is they're saying that neither Harry or William is going to take this over. And of course, once the king passes, then I don't know what's going to happen to it. Now, just also as an FYI, the Prince of Wales Charitable Fund was founded in 1979. And that fund gives grants to initiatives that bring positive change, for things for the environment and inclusion. So there you go. And of course, the foundation helps with sustainable practices. We know that Charles has been talking about the environment for how long? Before it was even fashionable. People used to make fun of him for it. And look where it is now. I love that he was a visionary even back then. So I guess my only question in the end of this is what's going to happen to it when he passes away and William takes the throne? Will William then pass his stuff on to the next person? We will see. All right. Now, this article came out saying that Harry and Meghan are staying away because their presence makes everything feel more like a funeral than a celebration. Let's not forget that when they went to the King's 70th party, there was an issue. Apparently, Meghan told people she was bored and she wanted to leave. And yeah, so they're not invited. And we also know that if they were invited and they showed up, they would probably, even if they didn't overhear conversations, they would probably say that they did. They would probably make stuff up, give it to Omid Scobie, who's about to come out with yet another book with information that was obviously given by Harry. I think the family has just had enough. And, really, who can blame the family at this point for not wanting Harry there? You know what I'm saying? After everything he said and done, yeah, I wouldn't want him there. All right, you guys. Now, don't forget that on Sunday, you're going to get my first video about what went on while we were in the UK, okay? So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you've already hit it, double check. Make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to leave those comments. And if you've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.